Coming to you from Meadow Mill. I'm Amanda, and this is Alan. You can join us here every Tuesday at 12:30 for your weekly news roundup and a discussion of current events. Please feel free to comment and ask us questions in the field below. Alan, it is finally Hanukkah.
Finally.
I mean, it's early this year.
Happy Hanukkah, Glenn.
Happy Hanukkah, Glenn. Thank you. It's early, but it seems like it took forever to get here. I'm not really sure why. It was like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle it finally got
Hanukkah
here.
Miracle, yet another one.
So what exactly does this mean for us?
What does it mean for
us? What does it mean? What is this Hanukkah thing we speak of?
Lights.
And
lots of bad food and presents and whining kids and all that.
That's my favorite, is the whining kids portion. So, like, a great miracle happened, and there was some olive oil.
Now it's time to party.
And that's the gist of it?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so we survived.
We beat them, and now we're going to eat.
We survived, and let's eat, because that's what we do.
The Assyrian Greeks.
Okay, down with them.
Yeah.
We win.
They tried to kill us.
We're going to have some lackeys.
Right.
Do it. All right. So, besides world peace, what would you like for Hanukkah?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Maybe a new harmonica or something like that. Like the Adam Sandler song.
It's time for Hanukkah. You
got it.
All right. To the news, Alan.
All right. Well, of course, there was this attempted terrorist attack in New York. The suspect in a pipe bomb attack on Port Authority bus terminal said he was motivated by Israel's actions in Gaza, according to CNN. The suspect spoke with authorities at Bellevue Hospital, where he was taken after the bomb went off prematurely. He was among 4 people injured in the attack when his homemade bomb partially detonated in a tunnel connecting the Times Square subway station with the Midtown Manhattan Transit Hub during Monday's morning rush hour. Worst time possible.
What a mess. Total mess.
New York police identified the 27-year-old as a resident of Brooklyn. He is said to be of Bangladeshi origin and has lived in the United States for the past 7 years. CNN cited a law enforcement source who said the suspect was upset with an unspecified incursion into Gaza. Quote, he detonated the bomb, the explosive chemical in the bomb went off. It did not have the desired effect of causing the pipe itself to shatter, which would have caused the more significant damage, said New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Yes, that could have been a lot worse.
Out.
And, of course, Jeff Sessions was in town this morning talking about his theories about immigration and blaming certain things.
Just in time for Jmore's upcoming cover story on immigrants.
Right.
Perfect.
Of course. He was in town for that. And then, meanwhile, there's Trump and Jerusalem, which is what this person is allegedly using as his excuse. So what is this? What's happening?
Well, more than 130 Jewish studies scholars from across America, from U.S. colleges and universities, signed a statement expressing their dismay with President Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The statement criticizes Trump's, quote, decision to reverse decades of bipartisan U.S. policy by declaring Jerusalem the capital of Israel and authorizing the relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv outside of a negotiated political framework that ends the legal state of occupation and ensures respect for the rights of all Israelis and Palestinians to Jerusalem. President Trump's decision upended 7 decades of U.S. foreign policy that has resisted a recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital before the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is resolved.
Okay, so to me, this should be really like cut and dried, and it seems like if you care about everyone's human rights, you disagree with this decision. But we were talking a little earlier, and what you're saying is that's surprisingly not happening.
No, I was at a synagogue this weekend. I won't identify which one, but not a particularly right-wing synagogue. And people there were pretty happy, including the spiritual leader who said very openly that this is a time to celebrate that the world now recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which is actually inaccurate because it's the United States that did, which is the leading power in the world, I guess you could say. But there's plenty of countries in Europe and elsewhere that do not recognize it. So anyway, the point is that there are a lot of people in the Jewish community who are thrilled with this, and they feel like it's about time. And after all, Jerusalem, when you go there, is the capital of Israel, but recognition is a different matter. So it's a dicey situation.
And it sets Mideast peace talks astray, sort of.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who felt that this was a little premature, even though people have been talking about it for decades, because we don't have a peace accord there yet, and it's still up in the air. So it's a little early to do something like this and could result in a lot of bloodshed, which it already has to a certain degree.
Right. There's already been attacks in Gaza.
Right.
And supposedly this thing yesterday in New York. So you can chime in on where you stand on the issue below in the comments field. And then we have the all-important Alabama Senate special election today. Bless you, Glenn. Okay, so that's happening.
Yes. Roy Moore's wife has said that she and her husband, who is running for the Senate, of course, in Alabama, could not possibly be anti-Semitic because they employ a Jewish lawyer.
Well, yeah. Well, naturally.
Who doesn't?
I think we all employ a Jewish lawyer.
Right.
And it doesn't mean whether or not we're anti-Semitic.
She said fake news, Kayla Moore, she said fake news will tell you that we don't care for Jews, she said on Monday at her husband's final campaign rally in Midland City, Alabama. One of our attorneys is a Jew, she said, but did not name the attorney. She continued, we have close friends that are Jewish and are rabbis, and we also fellowship with them.
Which fellowship's a weird word to use there because it's kind of a Christian term, and she's Baptist, and I don't know, nobody seems to know what it means to fellowship with some
It's not something
Jews.
the Jews usually say.
We don't fellowship.
No.
It's
Sorry,
like
we
the
just don't.
Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah, true.
One ring to rule them all. Okay.
Anyway, her husband, the candidate, came under fire last week for attacking liberal philanthropist and hedge fund manager George Soros as, quote, not our American culture, and suggested that Soros was headed for hell, the down escalator, because he did not accept God's salvation. And by the way, Soros is Jewish and, of course, a Holocaust survivor.
So he's already lived through his own hell.
That's true.
Thank you very much.
So Moore is favored by our own president, President Trump.
And Bannon.
And he is in an unexpectedly tight race with Doug Jones, who's a former prosecutor and is the Democratic candidate in today's special election. So it's going to be a big day, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I'm sure a lot of people in the Republican Party are a little nervous if he wins or loses.
I have a fear that this is going to be another very disappointing day in what's been a pretty disappointing year.
Yeah.
Dear good people of Alabama, just don't vote for Roy Moore.
I'm sure they're listening.
I'm saying it, Alabama. I'm telling you. Just listen to us. We're Jews. We're nice. We could be your best friend, too.
Or your attorney.
Or your attorney. If you're just joining us.
Only went to law school.
This is Jay. I didn't either. Or an accountant. This is Jmore's Need to Know on Facebook Live. Tell us how you feel about Roy Moore in the comments field below. Share and follow at hashtag Jmore Need to Know. Let's do some fun stuff now. Alan,
Okay.
Tell us about the Peter Yarrow concert.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about the Merriam-Webster. Maybe I'm out of order.
We didn't do that yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're not there.
My pages are all messed
Spoiler
up.
alert, we're going to talk about Merriam-Webster.
Yes.
But first.
Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary fame performed at the Gordon Center on Saturday night. I had the honor of interviewing him about a month and a half ago. And I saw him in concert with David Broza, the Israeli singer. And it was a fabulous show, very unique. Unusual show. Yarrow, of course, is 79 years old and a folk icon, and he talked a lot. He preached a lot. He's obviously not too happy with our president right now and our current political climate.
Political?
Yep, and but he was wonderful, and he sang all of his big hits with Peter, Paul, and Mary. Day is Done. Puff the Magic Dragon.
Oh, no, not Puff.
And he insists it's not about drugs.
What?
He's been insisting for
Come
over 50
on.
years that it has nothing to do
buying
with
that?
pot.
Are you buying that, Glenn? No, we know that's what it's about.
He explained that he wrote it in 1959 when he was at Cornell, and it had nothing to do with drugs. It's all about growing up. That's what he said.
All right, and they also did "Leaving on a Jet Plane," which is
Leaving
like one
on
of
a
my
Jet
favorite
Plane,
songs. I love
and that was
song.
fabulous.
I love
And
that song.
he and Broza sang together the whole time, and they had the audience there captivated. And the audience was a who's who of Jewish Baltimore. I saw so many people I knew or haven't seen in years, and it was just a wonderful.
Fun.
I told you earlier, it was like a Kumsitz or like a Verbrangen, like all these Jews coming there and singing folk songs. It was great.
It's fun. That's really fun,
Yeah.
and everyone was singing along.
And Gordon Center's a wonderful venue.
That's great. That's a good concert.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went to that.
Me too.
All right, so Golden Globe nominations were out yesterday. There's several Jewish nominees.
Yes, there are.
You just have no idea where you are right now.
I have no idea where I am. Now I
It's
do know. So the Golden Globes 2018 nominations were announced yesterday, and there were several Jewish nominees. But one of them was not Rachel Brosnahan, I think that's her name.
I don't know.
Who's with the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. You would think she's Jewish because she's so great on the show.
And you love her.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
And you love the show.
It's a great show.
I have never seen it because I don't have Amazon Prime, which means I've missed out on Transparent and The Man in the High Castle Tower.
It's about a woman in late 1950s New York and how she becomes a stand-up comedian. And she's Jewish, and the show is it's marvelous.
Okay, one day I'll try to watch that.
Yeah, this Amazon Studios sitcom was created by Amy Sherman Palladino, the Jewish writer who's best known for Amanda's favorite television show of all time, Gilmore Girls.
Hey, I hate Gilmore Girls. We have a whole ongoing argument about this because I admitted that I watched the entire thing, all of it. Not when it was on. I never watched it when it was on. I watched it like this summer, I think, and then for the new episode, because I wanted to know. I needed to know what everyone was so excited about. What's with this show?
Well,
and I hate it.
She and her husband Daniel were the creators of that, and the current show, like I said, follows a 1950s Jewish housewife who becomes a stand-up comedian. And they have Lenny Bruce on there.
Really?
And it just reeks of Greenwich
cute.
Village of that period.
Yes,
it's wonderful.
so it's really iconic, and it's actually good history. Because what we've talked about in the past about Gilmore Girls is there's some odd Jewish references just peppered throughout.
Quirky.
Like, it doesn't make any sense when they'll be like, oh, I went to so-and-so for a bar mitzvah once, and you're like, why are we saying this right now?
Also, they also sprinkle in Yiddishisms all of a sudden. It's bizarre.
But they all act like super waspy Connecticut types.
Yes.
It's
because Amy Sherman Palladino is writing it.
Yeah. So anyway,
why.
but I'm glad that this one's good. So what were some of the other Jewish nominees?
Well, our friend Steven Spielberg was nominated for Best Director for The Post.
Which is about Catherine Graham from the Washington Post, which could be amazing. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I hear good things about it. And of course, James Franco, late of Freaks and Geeks, one of my favorite shows, was nominated. Nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture for The Room.
Which I didn't see yet. That's the one that's about the making of the cult hit that was a total fail.
Disaster Artist, which is about The Room.
Oh, whoops. I did that wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen either?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't. I've never seen The Room or Disaster Artist. But thank you for fixing that.
Wow.
All right. What else?
We stand corrected. Aaron Sorkin, of course, of West Wing fame, was nominated for Best Screenplay for Molly's Game, which is not about Molly Bloss, right?
No, our coworker. It is not.
Okay, so what is that about? Do you know?
I think it's the Olympian who had a poker ring. Is that right? Yeah. She was a skier, downhill skier. Nah, I stumped Glenn. I stumped him. She's Olympian who then had a poker ring, and it was like super high stakes, and then she got busted, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber, am I saying it right? Or Schreiber? Liev Schreiber, sorry, was nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Television Series Drama for Ray Donovan.
I have never watched Ray Donovan.
Me either. Okay. And Hans Zimmer, who I didn't know was Jewish, was nominated for Best Score for a Motion Picture for Dunkirk, which of course starred One Direction, Harry Styles.
Started. He was like in the boat for a minute, sort of.
But he was great.
I thought that soundtrack was very disconcerting. I mean, I get Hans Zimmer always gets nominated. He always wins.
It's Dunkirk.
But it actually was distracting. You know, usually you don't notice a soundtrack. Yeah. It's just sort of there.
They should have just piped in some One Direction music instead.
All right, so now Alan is super excited.
They didn't know they were beautiful at Dunkirk.
It's Merriam-Webster's word of the year
Yes,
time.
Merriam-Webster. And the word is, Glenn, you want to guess?
Do you know it?
No, I don't.
It's feminism.
Yay!
Of all words. Yep, the dictionary tweeted, quote, 2017 saw both a sustained rise in feminism lookups and a number of event-driven spikes. According to Peter Sokolowski, the company's editor-at-large, searches for the term feminism on the dictionary's site increased 70% in 2017. They spiked after key events such as the Women's March in Washington, D.C., which was a day after the inauguration.
I was there. I don't feel like I did any good.
Well,
except I made feminism the word of the year. That was good. I accomplished that.
The release of Hulu's series The Handmaid's Tale, which also stars the young lady from Gilmore Girls, right? Alexis.
Oh, no, she's not in it.
She's not?
No, the girl from Mad Men is in it.
I don't know who
Maybe Alexis Bledel is in it.
Okay.
I don't think she is, though. I think it's the other woman.
Let us know.
No, I don't. Yeah, tell us. But no, anyway,
I thought
go
she
ahead.
was in it. Okay. And the film Wonder Woman, starring Israeli actress
Gal Gadot.
There she is.
It's our Gal Gadot moment of the week.
And also because of the rise of the Me Too movement, which is Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Yay.
Merriam-Webster defines feminism as, quote, the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes and organized and an organized activity on behalf of women's rights and interests. Runners-up included Complicit, Empathy, and GAF. Okay.
And speaking of marches and the Women's March, I know that the Women's March organizers are also organizing a
Impeachment march, right?
They are
Yeah, I heard.
for January 20th.
Very interesting.
So be there. Not that it's gonna matter. So it's Hanukkah. We're gonna do something
it
a
is.
little different with
We
the
are?
word of the day. We are. We're gonna
Oh,
do it
boy.
a little different.
Okay.
So there's a word that keep coming up in the last couple of weeks of This Week in Baltimore Eating, which is the Thursday show we do with Richard Goralick, and we haven't been doing it justice. So I figured we should make you do it.
Okay.
So this word is totally appropriate for today. Tell us what it is.
Okay, the word is Sufganiyot.
Sufganiyot.
Glenn, you know what that means?
No.
He's been listening. You've listened for 2 weeks while we've talked about it.
You'll be eating it. 'Cause I think
It's
there's
a
some in the
delicious
office.
word. It's deliciousness.
I think Jonathan Oleski brought some in. Sufganiyot are jelly donuts. They're traditionally eaten on Hanukkah, although I got to say, when I was a kid, we never called them that.
You just had jelly donuts.
We just had jelly donuts, and I guess it has to do with the whole story of the miracle of the oil, and it's kind of oily. And
There wasn't really any miraculous jelly, though, was there?
no. But it's very popular in Israel. So it comes from the Middle East.
And we have plenty of extras, so come on by.
Come on by.
We also have a story up about a different kind of fried treat, and it's called a schvinz. Have you heard of a
No,
schvinz?
that I had not heard of.
I hope I'm saying that right. It sounds a little like schwitz, which is sweaty, but
Yeah, it's all different.
So schvinz is a confection from North Africa. It's a favorite of Jews whose families came to Israel from the region, so it's sort of Moroccan.
Probably our friend Hupit.
She probably makes some schvinz, although for us, she made a thing called yuyus, which is a whole other treat.
Huh.
But to make a schvinz, you take a dollop of dough, poke a hole in the middle, and deep fry them in that miraculous vegetable oil. Surprise. The donuts can then be dipped in honey and coated in sugar, usually of the powdered variety.
Sounds delish.
Right. So thumbs up if you make either sufganiyot or schvinz. And share your recipes online at jmoreliving.com/recipes database. So that's going to be it for us today. Remember to join us here Tuesdays at 12:30 for your Need to Know News Roundup. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and follow at #JMoreNeedToKnow. And go to jmoreliving.com for more news updates. Happy Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Have
Enjoy.
a great Festival of Lights. Bye.